All right, take two. I just recorded like 18 minutes into this, so then my camera froze. And I was like, come on, man. I wish, and then I cut my voice right there because I'm not getting fucking my soul taken. So let's talk 1997's Wishmaster. Wes Craven presents. So this is executive producer Wes Craven. It's directed by Robert Kurtzman from K&B Effects, who do the effects in this movie, which I've talked about recently in Halloween 5 and many other times on this channel. They've done so much great effect work on so many classic movies in the past, and then obviously The Walking Dead launched their career into like this fucking stratosphere. But we have Kurtzman directing here, and this movie is just like one of the perfect examples of just an orgy of horror icons and horror actors and alumni and stuff. It's like a Where's Waldo of horror icons in this movie. We have Robert Englund in here. We have Kane Hodder. We have Tony Todd. We have Ted Raimi. We have, I don't want to leave anybody out. We have Angus Scrimm, the tall man from Phantasm, gives the opening narration. We have Dan Hicks. We have... who else? Reggie Bannister, also from Phantasm. We have Joe Pilato from Day of the Dead, the dickhead general who gets his entrails ripped out, and that's such a great fucking effect. I gotta do the whole Romero Dead trilogy like really soon. And we even have Tom Savini in a very small cameo in the pharmacy scene. He's in the pharmacy, and he's not even credited. But if you look like close enough, like, who doesn't know what Savini looks like? Like, you could see Savini like very, very quickly. So there's some of them in here, some of these horror alumni that you'll blink and you'll miss them, which is just awesome. Like, so much great stuff in here, so many great people in here. And then Andrew Divoff's performance is fucking phenomenal in this, and in Wishmaster too. And there's no fucking surprise why the third and fourth movie fucking suck terribly. Like, I've only seen them once, I think, the third and fourth movie, which I'll get to them later tonight and I'll suffer through them just to confirm they're terrible. Because Andrew Divoff didn't come back for the third and fourth one, and they look like cheap sci-fi movies, and I'll get to that when I suffer through them. And we have Harry Manfredini doing the score for this. Like, just horror everywhere, just callbacks to horror all over the place, horror icons, horror alumni, everywhere in this movie, and it's such a blast. I fucking adore this movie. I have maybe like 100 or so films, horror films, that are like comfort movies for me, that I'll always go to, that if I'm scrolling through TV, or which I rarely watch regular TV anymore, or streaming and stuff, and I have nothing else to watch, and I come across a movie that's a comfort film for me about, oh fuck yeah, I'm watching that right now. This is one of them. So I'm happy to actually finally be covering this movie. And we have the opening narration explaining the whole birth of the jinn. They're born from fire, and they grant 3 wishes, and upon granting the 3rd wish, then we have the jinn come from, they're like in between worlds, and they end up coming up, there's multiple jinn, there's not just one, so it's like a whole species here, and they all end up crossing over from their world and taking over Earth. And that whole opening narration, like I said, is by Angus Scrimm, the tall man from Phantasm, which I'm not even sure if a lot of people picked up on that. Like, I'm a huge Phantasm fan, so I know Angus Scrimm. I know his voice. So, like, I knew right away. Like, the first or second time. I don't know if I saw Phantasm when I first saw this. I can't remember. But, like, the second time or so that I saw this, I was a Phantasm fan. That's fucking Angus Scrimm. But there's a lot of people who aren't into Phantasm and stuff, so who knows if they even knew that was him. But we have Persia in 1127 AD we open up with, and this is just an effects extravaganza. Like, absolutely unreal practical effects in this movie. And this is another example of just like the perfect blend of practical effects and CGI. Anyone who's followed the channel for any bit of time, I mention it often, is I don't care for CGI in horror movies. Like, I'm practical all the way. Like, of course, if you need to touch up practical effects with CGI, or if there's just impossible effects that you want to get that you can't do practical, obviously, and you gotta go CGI, that's fine, as long as it looks all right. Which the CGI in this is not bad. It's not fucking phenomenal or anything. Like, there's a few scenes that it's like, but it's whatever. Like, the blend of practical and the CGI in this is just perfect for me. Like, the CGI doesn't bother me really at all throughout this whole film. Like I said, except for like small little parts. But just all the effects in the opening scene in Persia. It's fucking the creature popping out of the person's stomach and biting the woman's hand, and then the skeleton that rips out of the person's skin completely, and then the skeleton's running around. Like, that looks so fucking good. Like, that looks so good. Like, that whole skeleton fucking gag coming out of the guy looks so great. And then we have the lizard man crawling around. It's just awesome, awesome stuff. And just the whole design of the djinn is fucking awesome. Like, this is one movie that I'll never understand why it's not more praised and talked about a lot more and loved a lot more than it is. I have a lot of friends who are big horror fans that they either saw this once and forgot about it, or they've never seen it. And I think that's a fucking shame. Like, this is such a great movie. Like, in so many ways, I absolutely adore this film, as I said. But the whole design of the djinn looks fucking excellent. And just Andrew Divoff's performance as not even just the djinn, but as Nathaniel Demarest, when he takes the guy's face, the dead guy, and puts it on him and becomes Nathaniel Demarest. Just all of his performance through all of this, and just his whole way that he talks is it sounds like his fucking voice box is in a garbage disposal. Like, just like fucking, like, that's hard to talk like that for like all that time, all those scenes, all the takes that they must have done. That's fucking hard on your voice box to talk like that. So I give him props just for that. But it's such a distinct voice that, like, I mentioned many times on here that I'm a big Dark Souls fan, and I'm a challenger on the series and all other FromSoft games, Bloodborne, Demon Souls, Elden Ring just came out this year. If anyone's played Elden Ring, there's a boss in that game, and on my first playthrough of it, during the cutscene before the boss fight, there is a boss that sounds exactly like Andrew Divoff in here, like as the djinn. Like, so exact that I had to check the voice acting just to see to make sure it wasn't Andrew Divoff, because that's how exact it sounded. It sounded just like the djinn. So, like, that was cool, just hearing that and reminding me of this movie. And then we hear Nib Shugarath Bahim, which comes more into play in the second movie, and it's able to capture the djinn back into the opal before the Persian king, or whoever the fuck he is, makes his third wish, and then he gets sucked back into the opal. And then we cut to the present day America, and we have Beaumont, who's played by Robert Englund, who's a collector of all these old statues and ancient relics and stuff like that. And he's collecting and just bought this statue of a Horta Mazda, and it ends up falling and breaking and crushing a guy because the guy Borelli, who's Joseph Pilato from Day of the Dead, is drunk on the job, and he ends up just dropping, he spills his coffee on like the crane, and it drops the whole thing down. We have Ted Raimi in that scene, and just awesome stuff. And then we have the stupid fucking dickhead construction worker when all the pieces and stuff of the statue are all over the place, and he sees the opal in there, and he just pockets that shit, and he ends up like hawking it for like a few $100s, we find out later. And I love when Alex comes back and talks to him, and he's like, did I get fucked? And he's like royally, like fucking royally fucked that you got a few $100 for that fucking opal. You see how big that shit is? Like, that's fucking priceless. And then, let's see, and then we have our main girl, Alex, who is a appraiser for a gem. She's a gem appraiser, and she's also a basketball coach. And she's okay. Like, that's maybe one of the slight negatives I have with this movie. I don't really care for her that much. She does fine. Like, it's a fine performance. It's nothing like egregiously bad, but there's some delivery of her lines that just aren't that good, or just like, oh, that wasn't good. Like, I don't like how she said that. Like, a little bit of that sprinkled throughout, but for the most part, she does all right. But I love Morgana, the main chick in Wishmaster 2. If they would have had her in this movie, that would have been a huge plus for me. Like, absolutely. I think Morgana is sexy as hell. I love her character, but I'll talk about that in Wishmaster 2. And so she's a basketball coach and a praiser, like I said, and "You Woke Me" is never something good to hear. Like, even if you're just in bed sleeping with your wife or your girlfriend, and you're sleeping, you roll over and accidentally smack her in the face or something, and she screams, "Oh, you woke me up!" Never good. But when you hear like a demonic voice saying it, never a good thing. And then she starts getting visions. Basically, every time that someone makes a wish in this movie, she can see it like through visions and like feel their pain, basically. And this is a small little thing I thought of, but like, I would have loved, like, in her whole little basketball coaching scene, when she says to one of the girls, like, "You know why you missed that shot?" And she's like, "No." And like, then she talks about stillness and shit. Like, I wish she would have just said, like, "Because you fucking suck at this game," like something like that. Just some like derogatory, humorous term or phrase that she should have said. I don't know. I just felt that would have made me laugh, and that's what I thought when I was watching this time. Like, as soon as she said, like, "Do you know why you missed?" I said, "'Cause you suck at basketball." So I wish that she said that or something. I would have got a nice little chuckle. Like, I got a chuckle out of myself thinking it. Then Josh is like the best friend of Alex, who's into her romantically, but she doesn't want to get involved romantically with him because they're best friends, and she doesn't want to ruin the friendship. And good friends are hard to come by, and dates are a dime a dozen, and all that bullshit that she says. And he ends up doing more tests on the opal, and I don't know how it works with waking the djinn, because Alex ends up, she just does tests on it. She's looking at the gemstone and stuff. She's appraising it. That means she woke him? Like, you would think more that Josh, when he's doing his tests and like the opal breaks, that would be waking him up, and that Josh would be the guy who woke him. But somehow it's Alex, because of why? Because she touched it? I mean, it went through several hands, like with the dickhead construction worker who stole it, and the appraiser, the whatever that he hocked it to, and then bringing it to the main guy, Merritt, who's Alex's boss. So just touching it doesn't awaken the djinn. So I don't know how any of that works, nor does it really matter. But just something I thought I'd throw in there. Then he breaks the opal, Josh, and the djinn is unleashed, and just that whole transformation from like the baby djinn, he's not a baby, you know what I fucking mean, but just the tiny djinn, and then Josh wishing that the pain would go away, and he just ends up killing him, and then he grows into the full form of the djinn, and what a cool transformation scene, like really, really good. And we have Buck Flower in this as the homeless guy, which this guy has been in like hundreds of fucking movies. He's everywhere. And he, like 50% of the films he's been in, he is a homeless guy. Or a hobo, or a drunk homeless guy, or a drunk hobo, or a junkie. Fucking, I don't know, man. This guy is just got severely typecasted as just a drunken mess of a fucking homeless guy. He plays it well. Like, always, every time I see him, he's a fucking homeless guy. Like, always. And he ends up wishing for the pharmacist, Reggie Bannister. I gotta fucking shave. I'm starting to feel like fucking Buck Flower here. Homeless guy. I gotta fucking shave like ASAP. And Reggie Bannister playing the pharmacist, and he's that whole dialogue between them when he's on looking outside the pharmacy and begging for change, and then Reggie comes out. And he starts bitching with him and saying, "How many times I got to tell you to get off my property?" And he's like, "You don't own this sidewalk." He's like, "Actually, I fucking do own this sidewalk. I pay taxes." And then just that whole dialogue between them, I love that. Then Buck Flower walks away, and I love how he calls him like an intellectual idiot, which, I don't know. It's Buck Flower. Who gives a shit if it makes sense? And he meets the djinn, and he wishes that the pharmacist, Reggie, would just get cancer and die. Then we see the pharmacist just end up just falling on the floor, and the skin starts bubbling up and stuff. Just more great effects in this film. I can't praise the effects enough in this movie. And then apparently ancient jinns like cigarettes. I don't know. He's smoking throughout the whole movie. Like as soon as Buck Flower runs away, when the wish comes true, I don't know why he didn't run away just from seeing the jinn. Just from seeing someone who looks like that. You know that's not a fucking person. He didn't run away or anything, but then like when he sees the pharmacist dying and shit, that's when he freaks out and runs away. And then he picks his cigarette up at the jinn and he starts smoking it. So apparently even ancient jinn aren't immune to the addictiveness of nicotine. And then we have Alex, backstory on her, and that she ended up saving her sister Shannon from a house fire that their parents couldn't get out of and their parents died in. So she's dealing with the guilt from all that she wasn't able to save her parents. And another great horror reference in here is we get in Beaumont's collection, there's the Pazuzu statue from The Exorcist. So just horror shit all over the place in this movie, which I absolutely adore. Then we get the morgue scene when he's ripping the face off of the dead body so he can put it on his face and become Nathaniel Demarest. And the other morgue guy comes in and he's like, who the fuck are you? And then he sees his face and freaks out and he's like, this is something you wish not to see. And he shakes his head and his eyes just get sealed shut and he's blind. Looks so good. Love it, love it, love it. And then when the mannequin scene with the beautiful girl at the store that he goes to buy a suit from, and her saying, him pretty much getting her and forcing her, almost like provoking her to wish to be beautiful forever, and she turns into the mannequin and stuff, like just twisting those wishes just enough so that he's fucking royally fucks you. And then once you make that wish, like your soul is his. He's gonna collect those souls. And how does he know how to speak and read English? Like, that's one thing I've always thought of with this movie. Like, the beginning takes place in, like, what is that, 1127 AD, first century Persia? The English language didn't start being spoken until, like, the 5th century or something like that. So, how does he know English? Why are they speaking English in the beginning of this movie at all? Like, I'm sure it's just they didn't want to get into whole subtitles and getting people to speak Persian or Aramaic or whatever the fuck those people spoke back then. Doesn't matter, but I'm sure that's the reason. But like, even disregarding that whole opening scene, he's been trapped in this opal for 900 years. So how does he know how to read English and speak English and like know like English phrases and stuff? Like, this is just little tiny nitpicks like I always do, but I think of it every single time. Like, this motherfucker does not know English. Like, come on, really? Like, unless it's just that in their other world that they live in, that they can somehow, they see into our world, and they pick up on languages and shit. Can he speak any language? Can he just go, like, start speaking Haitian? Haitian's a language, right? I don't fucking know. But any language. Can you just, like, pick up Japanese? Like that? Like, and just start speaking Japanese, Chinese, fucking like Chinese, Japanese. If I could throw a baby firefly right there. But like, I don't know. He speaks English. He found out a way, and that's all that matters. And then we get this stupid fucking mask jump scare when Alex goes to meet with Wendy, the professor or whatever she is, that gives the whole exposition on the jinn and everything. And I already solved the problem with cat jump scares in horror a while ago. Already took care of that. Silverback gorilla jump scares. That's what we need. And I'm sure there's people who just started following recently or haven't seen certain videos, or the video when I made that whole shit up that I've mentioned silverback gorilla jump scares. Like, ever since then, whenever there's a cat jump scare, and people are probably like, silverback gorilla, what the fuck's he talking? But that was my solving the problem with cat jump scares, because that shit is so overdone. It's insane. It needs to be lethally injected 1,000 times over. and just killed a million times. Sent to hell, come back to life, back to hell, back to life, back to until eternity. If I don't see a cat in a movie for the rest of my life, I'll be so happy. Gorilla, that's where it's at. Solve that issue. Now I'm going to have to work on solving the whole friend or innocent person who sneaks up and jump scares the shit out of somebody like we get here. I'll get something. I'll work on that. And then we'll have a solution for that. We'll have a solution for cat jump scares. And then the third fucking thing that always pisses me off is fucking rats in movies that scare the fucking protagonist more than whatever threat they're hiding from. I'll figure that shit out too. So we'll solve all of these horror tropes that are just so tired together, mostly just by me figuring it out and telling you. So we'll figure it out. But she comes up and just there, she's like Wendy's like overseeing like the production, like the play that they're putting on at this university, wherever the hell they are. And this fucking stupid bitch just with the mask on just pops right into Alex's face. And I'm so sorry. I just wanted to show Professor my costume. Fuck you. Like, are you serious? Like I always say, there's no better way for you to do that. Like, excuse me, Professor, do you want to check out my mask? Like from 10 feet away? That would have been a lot better. Not just fucking like, yo, what's going on? Are you serious? Like, come on. I can't stand that shit. Soon, like in the next week, I'm coming up with a solution. And it's going to be done in every horror movie from now on, because everyone's going to see this video, or that video when I make it up. We'll have millions of people see it, and every single director and producer from that point forward will use my idea instead of using these stupid jump scares. In a perfect world, which it is far from a perfect world. And then we have the police station scene with, he kind of is a dick. The Jinn. Like, when you say I wish, like when you're saying that you're granting wishes, that kind of pretty much implies that you have to say, like, I wish for blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Some of them do say that. But then a lot of them just say, like, I'd like this, or I'd love to see that. That's not really wishing. That's just saying you'd love to see something, or love something to happen. That's not technically wishing for something. So he's a dick, the Jinn. Like, he's not really following his own rules. So I don't know, fucking at some point he's been trapped for 900 years. Now he's trying to take over the fucking earth. He's probably like, listen, I don't have time for fucking exact grammar and exact fucking pronunciation of words and usage of words. Just close enough. You'd love to see something? That's a fucking wish. Fuck you. You got it. Your soul's taken. And I guess that's what he has to do. And then the police station scene when he goes to find out where Alex's address is from the cop who was handled Josh's case, which they called a accident from a fucking computer misfire. Are you serious? Like, they really thought that was an accident? Like, even one of the cops says, like, there must have been some hell of a computer, like, to malfunction like that and kill this guy, and blood all over the place. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, this, and he says the homicide department, as far as they're concerned, it's a closed case. I don't know, man. Like, there's no computer that's doing that, like, to anyone, like, ever. And him saying that he says, see that guy over there? I'd love to just have it easy for once. Like, he's gotten off 7 times. I just would love for him to be nailed to the wall. Just eyewitnesses everywhere for murder 1. And grants his wish, and then we see the guy just pull one of the police officers' guns and start fucking shooting people up with eyewitnesses everywhere, and then they all pin him down, and then I love how he reaches up and he rips the guy's jaw off. It looks so good, like such great effects. I will keep saying it throughout this movie and the next movie. And then we have Kane Hodder as the guard to Merit, the appraisal company, and just this is like the little part where the CGI is iffy, like more than iffy, but it's still cool. Like, I can ignore it completely when he's just saying, like, he says, I would love to see him go through him to get into the office, and then he ends up just turning Kane Hodder into, like, he just gets sucked into the bars of the gate and just like gets stuck in there. Then Nathaniel walks through him, and then he just explodes. It's like shards of glass. It looks cool. It looks like shitty CGI, but it's still cool. Like, I really can't shit on it most. But that's like the most like shitty CGI in this movie. Which if that's the shittiest CGI they have in here, I'm fine with it. I can look past it completely. And then Merritt wishes for $1 million, which I think is funny as hell. That it's me, my dark sense of humor, that he wishes for $1 million, and you see his grandma and shit filling out her beneficiary is him, and for her will, and then she gets on a plane, the plane just fucking explodes, Final Destination style, so he gets his $1 million from his grandma dying. That's hilarious. Again, me, fucking, it's hilarious to me. Like, and then just how, it's just some of his lines, it's just done. Jesus, I don't know what that was, but he says done, and he grants the wish. And then he collects all his old souls and stuff from all the people who made their wishes, Buck Flower and the mannequin girl and the guy with fucking no eyes anymore, and collects all of their souls. And then Alex goes to meet Wendy, and we find out that it's the djinn, like, who cut her face off, and that looks awesome too, when they show her fucking body in the room and her face is all cut off. Awesome stuff. And then she realizes that it's Demarest. He appears as Demarest first, and then he turns into the djinn, like his true form, and she's like freaked the fuck out, because who wouldn't? And then just one of the most iconic lines in this movie, probably the most iconic line in this movie, is when he's just, make your wishes. Jesus, I don't know what the fuck keeps happening, but he says make your wishes, and that is so iconic for this movie. Like, he uses it in the second one, and I forget about the shitty third and fourth one, but that's something I will always remember from the first time I saw this film. Just that line of just make your wishes is just perfect, and just the way he delivers it, so fucking good, man. I haven't seen Andrew Divoff in, I don't think, almost anything else besides these films. Like, at least in horror. Like, I think I might have seen him in some other things. Like, but like, didn't even realize it was him, or like, just found out after the fact and been like, oh, Andrew Divoff was in that. But like, in horror, you don't see him much. And that is a fucking crime, man, because he did fucking phenomenal with this role. And I will never understand how this movie, like I said, it's just not talked about and praised as much as it should be. And I'll never understand how the djinn and Andrew Divoff playing him didn't become much bigger of a horror icon than he is. Like, for me, the djinn and Andrew Divoff playing him almost rivals Freddy, Jason, Michael, Leatherface. Not a big Hellraiser fan, but Pinhead, all of them. Like, he should be up there with all of them. Even Pumpkinhead, he should be up there with Pumpkinhead. Like, hanging on that same exact, like, level. And he's not. And it really sucks. Like, he should be in so many more things in horror. And then he says that he can't kill anyone without them wishing him to do so. So why doesn't she just not make a wish? Like, boom, Bob's your uncle, problem solved. Like, he's just gonna keep on, like, fucking begging you and shit and provoking you, but just don't wish at all. He can't kill you. But then later on, he says that at the party at the end, he says that, like, I don't need you dead. I just need you to wish that you were dead. I'll get to that. But, like, he says to Kane Hodder, before he breaks through him, says to him, do you have any idea how frustrating it is to have unlimited power, but only able to use it when someone asks, like, wishes for it? So he can only do shit when someone makes a wish. So just don't wish. Like, wouldn't that solve the problem? Like, unless he can just do shit to her and torture her psychologically and, like, hurt people that she loves, and yeah, he can go around, like, collecting souls and stuff, but in this movie, it's not talked about that the whole he needs 1,000 souls or whatever the number is we find out in Wishmaster 2 in order to take over and stuff like that's in Wishmaster 2. We don't hear about any of that in this. So just in this movie alone, don't fucking make a wish. That's it. It's like the anti Make a Wish Foundation. Just fuck you, not making a wish, and just that's it. You should be good. All the other people that have to deal with him, yeah, they're fucked. But again, there's no mention at all that once he gets a certain amount of souls in this movie, that he can take over. He needs 3 wishes from who woke him, Alex. I don't know. Just don't fucking say a word to this guy. Just fucking like that Black Mirror episode when you can just fucking mute somebody and then you don't have to look at them. They're just like a blur. You don't hear them or anything. Just do that. Just fucking ignore him completely. I mean, yeah, it's hard because he's a fucking demon and shit. It's fucking horrifying looking. So it's not like you could just be chilling watching TV and he's standing in the room being like, I'm getting fucking impatient. Like, I need these wishes. And like, you're trying to watch some movie or something like that and he's distracting the shit out of you every 2 seconds. So yeah, it would be very, very hard to go the rest of your life without making a wish. I don't know. Just spitballing. And then she makes her first wish and she wants to know who he is. And she ends up going into the Opal with him, and I love seeing all the tortured souls and stuff that he collected, like that are stuck to the wall, and they're like trapped in like tentacles and shit, and he has like a pet dog creature fucking thing, like just great, man, just awesome stuff. Like I forget how much I love this movie every time until I watch it again. And then I realize I fucking adore this movie. Like every single time. Like I don't forget, obviously. I always love this movie. But every time I rewatch it, it's just fucking amazing. It's just like a better watch every single time. Which I've seen this movie a decent amount of times, like over the years. And then we get Tony Todd as Beaumont's bouncer. And Demarest comes up to him, and he's not getting led into the party. And fucking Tony Todd says, Demarest says to Tony Todd, saying, don't you wish that aren't you tired of doing the same thing day in, day out? Don't you want to escape to a better profession? And he says, yeah. Then we see Tony Todd floating in the fucking water escape trap in the straitjacket. And then Demarest throws a line of like, Houdini did it in 2.5 minutes. Awesome, like so good. Then the whole party scene at the end here is just, again, like a fucking practical effects smorgasbord. Just amazing. Stuff everywhere, shit. I can't even, like, wouldn't be able to list them all because it would go on too long. But we have the girl that turns to glass and fucking her arm starts turning to glass and spreads through her whole body and explodes, and the glass shards are hitting people in the face and fucking impaling their faces and stuff. And then the snakes come alive and start biting the guy's face. And then we have the piano wire, which is probably the coolest kill in this fucking movie. And that's Rob Kurtzman, who gets decapitated by the piano wire. All the strings, the wires start coming out and shit, and then wrap around his face and just rip his fucking head off. Director Rob Kurtzman. He probably cast his own head for that. And absolutely awesome. Then the tentacle thing that's like getting the guy hanging upside down out of his neck. They're just like fucking like this creature is like crawling out of it. Looks so good. So good. And then we have the creature that Beaumont comes and he starts spitting out blood, and then he starts spitting out this creature with tentacles, and just awesome, man. Like I don't know how people adore this movie. Like I really don't understand it. Like please let me know why you don't like this movie, if anyone doesn't like this movie, like because I really don't get it. I really don't. And then the statues come alive, and that shit looks cool too. And like there's a few people trying to get Alex and other people out of the party, and they're getting fucking killed by the statues. And I love that kill with the statue with the mace, and he smashes into the guy's face, and he pulls it back, and his whole fucking face is crushed in. That looks so sick, so fucking good. Then she ends up wishing finally that Torelli, the guy from the beginning, wasn't drinking that day on the job 2 days ago, which I don't know. Like how I feel about that. It's kind of like the whole it was a dream thing, kind of, that like everything just resets and goes back in time to 2 days before that. So he never escaped from the Opal, and he's still, and the Horror Mazda statue is still intact, and Beaumont ends up bringing it home and everything. So I don't know how to feel about it. I mean, I can't think of many other ways to like beat him off the top of my head right now. And every other time I watch this movie, like I really try. Like I try to think of something. Like she already tried wishing him dead and stuff like that, and that never works. He just blows his brains out, and his fucking head just grows back. So I guess it was pretty much like the way to go. I guess like probably had to like rack their brains a lot harder to think of something better. But it is what it is, and that resets everything. And everyone who was dead is back alive, and the Horror Mazda statue is sitting in Beaumont's collection room. And my biggest question with this is, what the fuck is that? Oh, it's a wire hanging. Does she remember? Does Alex remember what happened? Because then we see in the last scene, like right before the final scene, when we go into the opal and we see the gin there and stuff before it goes to the credits, we see her talking to her friend Josh and throwing his words, request for a date, back at him. Now that she's been through this experience, it seems like, saying that like you want to go for dinner and a movie, that now she's willing to go on a date with him, implying that she realizes everything that she had, that she lost, and now she was able to get back. So now she's not fucking wasting any time anymore. But the whole part of the wish and plan that worked is that none of this happened. Like the statue fucking collapsed. The fucking Jin was freed. She wished that the guy wasn't drinking, which means everything in those last 2 days didn't happen. So how does she remember it? If all the time went back 2 days, then she shouldn't remember any of this. I don't know. Like, I have no idea. If someone has any theory on that, let me know, because that's something that's always been on my mind watching this movie, is does she remember, and if so, how? Like, it just, you see this in a decent amount of movies, that things that reset time and go back, and the protagonist remembers the events and stuff, but like, in this situation, it's literally her, like, turning back time and making the last 2 days never happened, and that it literally goes right back to that scene at the boarding dock with the Horror Mazda statue being loaded off. And fucking Pilato, the guy operating the crane, isn't drunk, and he does a good job this time, doesn't crush anybody, and Horror Mazda statue ends up in Beaumont's collection. So I don't know how she remembers, if she does. If she doesn't, then that whole thing with Josh at the end makes no sense. But if anyone knows, let me know. I'm going to go watch Wishmaster 2 and gaze at Morgana and fucking Andrew Divoff's amazing performance again. And I will have that up in a little bit. Take care, guys. See you soon.